MZTV.
Boy, this job is hazardous for one's mental health, I can tell you that. You won't believe what I just experienced. Yes, my throat's a little hoarse because of what I just experienced. I'm going to tell you that in a second after I take some CBD oil here. And I'm trying to fix myself up here. I don't know what this is going to do for me, but a beloved fellow believer said, here's some CBD oil, $60 for this bottle. Put it under your tongue, and wonders will ensue. So I do this 3 times a day, waiting for the wonders. I don't doubt they will happen, but I will chronicle for them. I will chronicle them for you when I detect them. Now, oh boy, I was just on a hotline to Lima, Peru. That's right, hotline Lima, Peru. Let me explain. Well, before I do, I want to tie up some loose ends. Yeah, I was on a hotline in Lima, Peru to, well, let me wrap up some loose ends from yesterday. Somebody made the comment yesterday that, Martin, why don't you talk about something that matters, something that's helpful? Why do you talk about the age back in the Bible when girls became pregnant? You're telling us between 12 and 14. Okay, so what, Martin? Well, how important is this when there could be parents today whose kids, whose young adults want to get married out of high school, let's say, and I am promoting that. I am promoting getting married out of high school to your childhood sweetheart. I've heard many, many success stories of childhood sweethearts being married and being happy. It does remind me of a Three Stooges joke, though. In one of the episodes, the Stooges are census takers, and Mo goes up to a home, woman answers the door, and Mo has his clipboard there, and he says, "Excuse me, madam, are you married or happy?" But is it possible to be married and happy? Well, I say it is. Marry your childhood sweetheart when the fires are stoked. Have a family soon. That way you have no spare time on your hands. You start doing a productive, wonderful thing. And I am recommending it. I'm freeing people to do that. How is that not wonderful? How is yesterday's video not one of the best videos I ever made? Because I gave you the story, the true account yesterday of 2 parents whose children, whose young adults, fell in love in high school. They were high school sweethearts. And they wanted to get married out of high school. But both the parents said, no, we can't have it. We can't have it because you need more experience. You need to date around. I'm trying to find that verse in the Bible. Make sure you date around before getting married. You need to experience life. So, again, they separated because their parents forced them to. They wanted to get married and have a family. No. The parents separated them because it's too soon. It's too early. Don't you know we obey the behests of Western culture? So they went out and they married wrong people. They married people that weren't good for them because they were perfect for each other. And they could never find anyone as perfect as each other. So the young lady went out and married some doofus. And the guy went out and married some damsel in distress. And they ended up having terrible marriages, fraught with problems. They had children, each of them in their respective marriages, and they ended up divorcing after 20 years of marital discord with children, and they divorced. And guess what happened next? Oh yes, that's right, they rediscovered each other. They were each divorced. They had just lightly kept in touch, and then they married each other. And guess what happened next? Oh, here it is. Prepare yourself. They lived happily ever after. Great job, parents. Great job. You basically destroyed 2 families by mindlessly adhering to the artificial construct of Western society that says you can't get married until you've dated around, until you've gotten a job, until you've gone to college. So I'm saving people from that today. This is not wonderful. How is that not wonderful? Those parents sent their children out on 20-year crash course of societal disaster. And that ticks me off, and I try to remedy these things when I can by telling you that it's puberty. I know I'm repeating things I said yesterday. Good. It's puberty that tells you when a boy becomes a man and when a girl becomes a woman. And that has nothing to do with age. It's puberty. And it's true, people come to puberty at different times. So I think that anybody that reaches puberty should be allowed legally to marry. Of course they're not, because there's legal marriage ages. There's the arbitrary, artificial lines foisted upon us, abusing us, set by who? Courts, judges, idiots, I don't know. The test for whether you're ready to marry or not should be, you go into the office and they say, lift your arm, please. And you lift your arm, and if there's hair under your arm, this goes for men and women. If there's hair under your arm, then you're able to get married. That's it. What? Yeah, they're telling me you can check for hair in other places, and that's true. But this is less intrusive. So I would say, yeah, check for hair. And the presence of hair under the arms and elsewhere is the indication that the hormone testosterone is flowing through the veins and arteries of the boy, making him a man, and the hormone estrogen, a gift of God, that God sends them, just zing, zing. And the woman grows breasts, gets hair, the man's voice lowers, and he gets hair. It has a lot to do with hair, let me tell you. This has a lot to do with hair. For some reason, I don't know why, but it has a lot to do with hair. And then they're good to go. And then, of course, the girl starts having a menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is basically God sending an egg into the fallopian tube. He sprouts out an egg, and then the egg goes into the fallopian tube, and it says, I'm ready for a sperm, let's go. That's God's way of saying this woman's ready to have a baby. It's the open door, carte blanche, bring in the sperm. Yeah, that's God's line. God's saying, hey, this woman's good to go. But she's only 13. God says, don't talk to me about that. The egg in the fallopian tube means that this woman's ready to reproduce. Therefore, she's not a girl, she's a woman. So I'm going to change, this is what I'm going to do. This is leading me to profound new understanding of Adam and Eve. We all know that Adam and Eve were created as adults. They weren't created as babies. Adam didn't rise from the soil going, and we have to wait, 12, 13 years for his bar mitzvah, right? Eve wasn't created a baby, and who's going to watch them? Who's going to take care of them? A monkey family? Is this the Jungle Book? A bear? What? Pack of wolves? No. So Adam and Eve were created mature. But I now am coming to understand that Adam and Eve were created freshly mature. In other words, they were at the beginning of their maturity. Therefore, this is going to shock you. This is what has come from yesterday's show. And I'll get to today's show eventually, maybe. Man, I also wanted to talk about, truth. Your truth, my truth versus the truth. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get to it today. So I think that Adam was 14 years old. I swear to you. Adam was 14, Eve was 12. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is run a picture in front of you of what I think Eve looked like. And I'm not joking, okay? This is not a joke. All right, there she is. That's Eve. Because most women come to most girls come to their womanhood, start having their period anywhere between 12 and 14. So I could use the median and say 13, but I'm going for broke. I'm saying 12, and I'm saying Adam was 14. So that was Eve, if you can believe it. Here's Adam. We definitely don't picture them like this because of all the Bible stories, all the children's Bible books that has Adam and Eve. They're probably about 32. Adam and Eve are 32. Why? How? Why would they be 32? Why wouldn't they be fresh from the hand of God, ready to reproduce? God told them, be fruitful and multiply. And he wants them to have the longest possible time to be fruitful and multiply. Therefore, he sets them on the earth at the very beginning, the very genesis of their fertility. Him with the sperm, her with the egg, and all the hair already in place. Here, and there. It's a beautiful thing. Where else are you going to get that revelation, folks, other than MZTV? Now let's see if I need to catch up with anything else. Man, I got to tell you this. This is important. And the person that objected to the usefulness of yesterday's show was a woman. That is somewhat applicable. It is somewhat telling, because I know there are a lot of men in my audience, and young men, and possibly some boys. Let's just go with men and young men who have been sexually attracted to a young girl. By young, I'm talking about Lolita type stuff. Everybody's familiar with Nabokov's novel Lolita, of course. I'm not celebrating the moral insufficiencies of the protagonist there. But I'm just saying it's normal for a man to be sexually attracted to a woman. And excuse me, but a menstruating girl is no longer a girl, but a woman, and men are naturally attracted to them. So if that happens at 12, then a man could look at a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl and be attracted to her. Don't shoot the messenger. But I know that there are many men who probably feel guilty. They feel condemned. They feel like they're perverts for looking at a, let's just say, 14-year-old girl, let's say, in a swimsuit and being sexually aroused or attracted. And they're condemning themselves. They've condemned themselves their whole lives. I am telling these men today, and I'm emphasizing it today, I didn't emphasize it enough yesterday, that you are not perverts. Now, for the love of God and Jesus and Mary and Joseph and Abraham, Sarah, and even Hagar, do not touch the 14-year-old, because it's illegal. Okay? It's illegal to have sexual relations with what we call underage girls, which the legal age, which is completely arbitrary, set by humans, foisted upon us, is 18. So there's this weird area, this weird time period in a woman's life where she's not allowed to be propositioned or pursued. Don't do it. It's against the law. Don't do anything illegal. Now, I wish it wasn't illegal. I think it's stupid that it is illegal, because God's the one who's saying, there's the egg in the tube. You're good to go. So that should be available for family making activities, according to God. And so naturally, a male type person will look at that female type person with an egg firmly attached to a wall of blood in her fallopian tube and then her uterus. No, I guess, yeah, it's attached to the blood when the egg has to get to the uterus. But it goes through the fallopian tubes. It comes out of the ova, right? Yeah, then it goes through the fallopian tube, snakes down there, and then it goes into the uterus, and then it attaches to the wall of the uterus. Yeah, that's it. And then if no sperm come in, and the egg's sitting there, where are the sperm? The egg can't understand where all the sperm are. We got all this blood here ready to nourish a new life, and we're waiting for the sperm, and it's like crickets. Crickets. There's a poor egg. It's waiting 2 days, 3 days. Oh, Jesus, this isn't happening. And so all the blood goes out. I guess this isn't happening. It's a sad occasion when that blood comes out. Just like, we give up. It's a waste. A complete waste. So it's the curse of womanhood, they say. Well, get some sperm in there. No, wait a minute. I take that back, because I'm not advocating unthoughtful sexual relations. I am advocating starting families. And you see, my problem is, and I was called out on this in the comments on that video. I was called out on this, that Martin, society is lost. You're living in a fantasy world. You're an idealist. And you just think that these 13, 14, 15-year-olds are mature enough to have families. Okay, this much is true. I am an idealist. I'm a Libra, meaning that I am a romantic. I am an idealist. Yes, absolutely. And I was raised in a beautiful household. I did not know there were broken people in the world. I have to acknowledge that My ideal of these young adults being capable, mature enough to raise families when they have been poorly parented. My ideal is just that. If they were properly parented. In fact, one commenter said this: how can a 13-year-old get married when a 13-year-old doesn't even know the general rules of general hygiene, can't even keep himself clean, doesn't even know how to wash his hands after going to the bathroom? Hey, that's not my fault. How come I learned how to wash my hands after going to the bathroom at age 3? Okay, I got that down at age 3. So it's not my fault if some parents are neglecting the basics of child development so that at the age of 13, their child doesn't even know how to say please, say thank you, address other adults with respect, and wash their hands after using the potty. It's not my fault. In my world, people learn all this stuff at the age of 3. So in my world, by the time people get to 12 and 13, and by the time the hair starts growing, they're ready to have families. And if they have families at this time, I'm telling you that they are more apt to stay out of trouble than if they don't have families at this time. Because then they go on to be influenced by their peers. They leave the house. They go to public school. Public schools are a disaster. They're a minefield of societal problems, and they get wrecked. We homeschooled our kids up to high school. Then we threw them to the wolves, but we prepared them. So we didn't throw them to the wolves until we had given them a foundation, and they survived the wolves because of the foundation. Our kids really could have married. They were very mature, our 3 sons. They could have married at young age. Okay, but our society is not built that way. And yes, I am also susceptible to peer pressure. I wasn't ready to marry off my 14-year-old son. Besides, he didn't meet a good 14-year-old girl. There weren't any mature 14-year-old girls out there. It was a shame, a pity. Too bad. In my world, there would be mature 14-year-old boys meeting mature 14-year-old girls. That's my cute little Zender, Pollyannish wonderland, which doesn't exist, unfortunately. If I was God, why, I would make everyone grow up in a solid, sane, respectful household where people watched Gilligan's Island and ate TV dinners on TV trays and then watched Jacques Cousteau's Undersea World while their mothers made popcorn. And of course, they ate Mrs. Paul's fish sticks for supper, potatoes out of a box, and they played Sorry after dinner. And then they went downstairs to play ping pong with their father, and they were sent to bed tucked in with a story and a kiss. Yeah, that was the Zender world. Ask my sister. She knows about it. She was part of the Zender world, being a Zender herself. So I thank God for my parents. So yeah, there's no curing it. It's shot to hell. So I guess, what do I have to do? Take it all back now? I mean, the truth is the truth. So I can't take it back, everything I've been telling you. Or can I? Well, and somebody might say to me, well, weren't you just telling us a couple weeks ago, Zender, that Paul says it's ideal not to touch a woman and that it's ideal now to be single? Well, yes. But I'm looking at the potential evil that befalls young people, and I'm saying compared to the evil which is likely to befall them and the societal derangement and the apathy, the degeneration, the devolution, it's better to get married than to do all that. But I'm not sure if there are any people left who have not been broken by broken families. Very rare. I think you'd have to go to another country. You'd have to go to Africa or India. It's not all peaches and cream there either. I'm not saying that. I'm not naive. I am Pollyannish, but I'm not naive. I think those are different. let me see if I had anything else to cover on that. Oh yeah, no, I think I've covered everything on that. So tomorrow then, I will talk to you about the thing I just experienced, which is really too bad because I'm really fired up about it now because there's a woman over here visiting Juliana. It's a friend of hers and a friend of mine. Name's Janet. And Janet is really receptive to hearing things of God, but she's become a Christian, which is very unfortunate, as you know. And she has a pastor back in Lima, Peru. She's here visiting for 2 months. She's going back to Lima on Friday. And her pastor's name is Marie. I repeat that. Her pastor's name is Marie. So today, you'll never guess what happened. We were talking about human free will. And Janet, of course, assumes that it's true. Well, God gave us a free will. And at what point, she said, God made a mistake in giving us free will. I said, say that again? God made a what? And so she just can't believe that God didn't give us free will. Of course, I told her, we have no free will. There's no such thing as free will. Well, I got to call my pastor. I said, call her up. And by God, she did. She called Marie in Lima, Peru, and put her on speakerphone with the world's, mind you, most outspoken Bible scholar. What ensued was a freaking disaster in the relative, but it was so insightful into the mind of the institutionalized religionist. Not that you don't already know, but I will regale you and depress you with some of the details tomorrow, which will in turn instill in you a solidification of the truths that we hold dear. And then my plan then is for the day after that to talk to you about truth. Is it your truth? Is it my truth? Or is it the truth? These and other wonders to follow. This has been Martin Zender from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Good day.